Yo, guys, what's going on? Kunal here, Bulls on Wall Street. No, it's a little bit late. It is Thursday, 11 something o'clock, but I want to talk about a good lesson for trading today. So, as you guys know, we did our webinar yesterday on YouTube Live at 8 o'clock. There was so many of you guys there, which I really thank you guys for coming. And we talked about in the YouTube webinar how to get up in the morning and do a very specific routine to find PR plays that could explode 100, 200%. Make sure to check out that that webinar. But it's really the gist of it was in the webinar. The webinar was about trading blockchain stocks and how any stock that has the term blockchain just written in it ends up going really nuts. So, and oftentimes if the float's low enough, they go on these 100, 200% returns. Today we made $6,000 trading these type of stocks. And they were all blockchain stocks, but it all started with this move in CNET. And I took it right out of the playbook in yesterday's webinar. So in the morning, I'm scanning for my gappers, right? So I'm looking for my gappers that are moving up. And, when I see CNET come up on my list, what was interesting about it, if you're going kind of through this in the morning, was they had a very, very specific, their PR was really specific, right? China net online shares, 2.5-year high on blockchain partnership with Jingtum Technology. I hope I didn't butcher that, but that's all I really needed to see. So once I saw the PR, and then I look at the chart, and then I'm filtering through, and you can see right here, look at the float on this bad boy. What does that say? 7.5 million shares. So the float is tiny. Why is that so important for this type of play? The gap was from $1 to $3, so it already had gapped up multiple hundreds of percent. So if that float was even 50 million or 100 million, it would have probably faded off at the open, but it definitely wouldn't have followed through. It would have been heavy because of the amount of supply of shares. At 7.5 million, imagine that 5,000 people read that PR. And they all want to buy 1,000 shares. Well, that's 5 million total shares, right? And that's just a small number. What if it's only a $3 stock? What if somebody want to buy 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 shares? So how could you get filled if thousands of people want in on this, but there's only 7.5 million shares available? Like in any auction, right? Like an art auction or a housing auction, you have to start raising up your price and you have to start competing against other people to get in, right? And that's what can cause these stocks to really go a little bit crazy. So, reading that and just kind of going through, right? That's why we do these webinars. It's to really make sure that you guys have some type of tool that you can take out of it that you can use. And so just simple stuff. Now, once that PR is out, and it's more a matter of just waiting for our setups now. So for me, when something's up that much, I try not to take the opening range breakout, even if it's available, unless it's really, really clean. So you can see at the open, it did run like about $1. I didn't think it was clean enough, and so I had to leave it alone. I was kicking myself because, I'm like, oh man, it spiked up. But look, it only spiked up for one candle, and then it came back down. And so you've got to really leave that alone. But one of the things you'll see, as this thing is coming is, it comes all the way back here. And you start to really build that support. When it's holding that support, you can take the trade in it. The problem with me was I missed this entry because I was all knee deep in this damn OSTK. I had like just a roller coaster of a ride on it. I was up like 2,000 at the open, and then it popped back. I didn't take any profits. I broke some rules. It came back down, And I always scale out of my positions. That's just like who I am, right? It's just what I'm all about. But this one in particular on OSTK, at the open, you know, I got this on the first dip, and dude, it was all the way up to 74, 75, you know, 74s, and I had, you know, 700, 600, 700 shares. So I was up a lot, like 1,800 bucks on it, and I let it come all the way back out. I had to really get out flat, and then I was able to kind of nail it back end of day. But I was fighting with this one because I was greedy. So at the open, you always want to take, the open is all about price discovery. So you want to take those quick spikes up or down because that's just what the open does. You quick spike up or down, and then you'll retrace and consolidate, and then you can go later. Okay. And so what you always have to remember is take those profits, then move on. And then as it starts to consolidate and that range tightens, you know, come back in for your end of day play if you're still trading, you know, at that time. So I was fighting with this thing, and so I missed the entry, you know, on CNET as it started to round out here, but that's okay. Even though this thing went from like 250 to 5, I mean, right, what a monster run. You know, what you got to really remember is that when you have the characteristics of a momentum stock, a true momentum stock has, right, those characteristics that we talk about. And if you want to ever look at the secret sauce of what makes stocks explode, right, the stuff we were just talking about at the beginning, you know, when you mix all those together, you get a perfect storm of goodness in terms of the PR, the float, the chart, the whole works, right? So there's 5 things that you absolutely have to have for a stock to just explode. And if one of them is missing, you'll have a 5% gain or 10% gain. You know, it may go up a little bit more, but you won't be able to have the 100, 200% movers in this. And so, you know, always kind of remember that, you know, I'm giving you a formula, and so much of trading is just about, right, having the right recipe, and then it's repeat and rinse. So I did miss this one, but one of the things that, you know, ended up happening to is I actually ended up staying, past the afternoon because it's just fucking blind luck. My trainer, Patrick, you know, he always trains me at 1 o'clock, and he called me up, he canceled. He's like, yo, bro, I've got a dentist appointment. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm at the computer. And so it just happened to be that he canceled on me right around the same time. So I'm on Central Time Zone, right? So that's about 2 p.m. Eastern time. I should have been there. Happened to be that he canceled on me, and it worked out really well because what do you start to see here? You know, even though I missed this run, it's just a really simple setup, guys. I mean, you guys can do this, even if you're brand new, right? We know what? Stocks get their power from consolidations in bases. The tightening of ranges in momentum names is what gives and causes explosion. When you couple it with those 5 characteristics that we always talk about that makes a momentum stock, something that can really, really explode. So once you start to mix these together, now you have the perfect storm, but you still have to hunt for an entry. Now, for me, when I'm trading something like this that's already at 500%, I really want to focus on getting in some type, when you're coming out of a really tight consolidation, some type of compression breakout. And the reason for that is that these things, I've seen this happen, I've been in them. These things can drop in a moment's notice. Somebody tweets, oh, this thing is fake. Somebody tweets, hey, the CEO is, you know, just laid a blumpkin on, right? The secretary's foot. I mean, it could be anything. And next thing you know, right, that stock is tanking. And so what I want to make sure I do is I want to position myself right when it breaks, but I want to make sure that I'm getting that really tight range. So I'm hitting this. I hit this thing like 480s. I put my stop right under here, right on this base. So right under about 450, give or take. Really, really tight range. And then it's just a matter of buy, set your stop, let it rock. And, you know, one of the things, guys, is I didn't go in 5,000 shares or 10,000 shares, nothing like that. My original ad was 1,000 shares. That's something that, people with even small accounts can do. The guys that trade for me in our fund, right? We give them that kind of buying power if they need to have bigger size positions. But, we always tell them, like, look, when you have a stock like this, you can go in and you want to go in 200, 300, 400 shares when you're new, because you can still net multiple dollars and grow your account. When you have a small account, it's about, right, having a $2,000 account, you want to grow it $200, $300, $400 at a time, and then you want to repeat and rinse over and over. And that's how you really build your account and build a long career, is by taking that aspect of things of chunk by chunk I'm going to build. Right, so I only took 1,000 shares of this bad boy, and I sold off the first 1/3 way too quick. This thing jumped to 550 like right off the bat in like a few seconds, and I was a little bit I've been trading my whole life, right? And I was still a little bit surprised. I was taken back. I was like, whoa, because I know that this thing can really move, but it moved like a buck in one candle. And so I sold off 1/3, and then it was like, as it started to go, I took off another couple hundred, and I just rode the last couple hundred really up until, into the 11s. And when you start to get these big tails, that's usually when I start to get out of these things. I like to ride them up the 9 EMA if I can. But once you start getting too far from your 9 EMA, and you start to see those kind of big tails on your charts, always keep mental note that could be a reversal sign. So, simple setup, guys. One of the things that so many people do is they fuck around with all these scanners and all these chat rooms and all these classes and all that stuff, and they really overcomplicate what trading is about. Trading is about having a specific recipe for each type of trade, right? Just a specific recipe. This setup is my meatloaf. And to make a meatloaf, you need, right? I got to ground up the meat. I got to have salt. I got to put it in the oven. I got to add a little ketchup. I got to add a little Worcestershire sauce, whatever it is. But you got to have those kind of specific things. And if you don't have them, then what do you end up having? Just ground beef, right? And that's how your trading setup is. You've got to have the right type of stock match the type of setup you're going to do. And then it's just about following kind of that recipe of what you need to see. And then it's just repeat and rinse. Sometimes we make things so complicated with, all these tools and scanners and all this stuff going on. People hang out on the Twitter all day and, right, so much stuff. But if you really think about what trading is, it's about finding momentum and waiting for those tight ranges where you can compress that cause explosion. And then there's setups around there that you can trade, the pullbacks and stuff like that. But it all starts with the things that you need that make a momentum stock. And then, right, finding areas where your risk is low, your range is compressed, because those are the things that cause explosion. Guys, thank you for coming into yesterday's webinar. It meant a lot to me. I know at 8 o'clock you guys have a lot of stuff to do. I'll see a lot of you guys in boot camp class starting January 9th. So that's Tuesday. As you guys know, I'm not a fan of trading DVDs or recorded webinars or, right, any of that junk, right? I do my classes live like a real man. I stand up in front of my people and I teach, because that's what I do. And so I look forward to seeing you guys in class January 9th. You can always email me, Kunal at bullson.ws. If you've got any questions about whatever. I mean, I've had people message me about, whether they're students, not about their trading, and, giving me updates and stuff. I love hearing from people. And I've had even other weirder requests of people, sending me emails like, Kunal, like it burns when I pee. What do I do? So, hey, well, remember that stocks get their power from consolidations and ranges, right? What else can you say to them? But I love hearing from you guys. Feel free to leave comments, share with people, do whatever you got to do. And I'll see everybody in class January 9th at Tuesday. Take care, guys.